I'm JP Tuesday.
And I'm Kiki Cannon. As lifelong Disney fans, the work of countless talented Disney creatives have shaped our lives.
Now, as the Disney catalog expands, we're taking a journey through film and television to discover if that spark that shaped us as children lives on in adulthood.
Does your favorite Disney media still cast that same spell? Join us as we find out. We are Rewatching the Magic.
Hi, Kiki.
It's the most wonderful time of the year where the kids are all screaming and cauldrons are steaming and I'm of good cheer. It's the most happiest time of my year. Hi, Tuesday.
It is finally the spooky season. The Halloween season is here. Ghosts and goblins, things that go bump in the night, and of course, zombies. And that's what we're talking about today. We are returning to the world of the Disney Channel original movie with zombies. Yeah, this is kind of Disney once again trying to replicate the success of the High School Musical movies by taking the premise of High School Musical and adding some sort of twist on that. We have previously talked about the movie Descendants, which is High School Musical, but with Disney characters. Now we're talking about Zombies, which is High School Musical with classic movie monsters. And this franchise has gone on a while. As of this recording, there are 4 movies in the Zombies franchises. Of course, the first movie introducing zombies, the second movie introducing werewolves, the third movie introducing space aliens, and the fourth movie, which recently came out, introducing vampires into this world. In my research of this movie, this was apparently originally going to be a television series for the Disney Channel. Called Zombies and Cheerleaders. The pilot was not picked up by the Disney Channel, but as we always say on this podcast, Disney never throws away an idea, so the idea was reworked as this movie. Apparently the TV show was also going to be a musical featuring a song every episode, so the movie being a musical isn't that far off.
Yeah, this was somewhere around the time that I guess Glee was really big when they first started developing this, I think. So
Twilight was a thing. That was around the time of the Twilight movies when they were putting that old TV show together.
Well, I was talking more around it being a intended musical TV series.
Yeah. So, I mean, column A, column B.
Yeah.
Let's take Glee and mash it with Twilight, and we got this movie. Definitely, I mean, I've never seen the film, but right before we recorded, I asked if you had seen the movie Warm Bodies, and did this movie give you that warm body? Because that was also around the time that the TV show would have been developed. That movie would have come out.
Warm Bodies is a much better movie than this. Spoiler alert. But, yeah, it's... If Warm Bodies was a little more brain dead, this gives me the feeling of Warm Bodies, I guess.
So let's kind of get into what this movie is about. 50 years before the events of the movie, a power plant explosion releases some green gas and turns half the population of this suburban town into zombies. So they have to put up a wall to prevent the undesirable zombies from entering their perfect little suburban town. Oh, this came out in 2018. We're going to build a wall and make the zombies pay for it.
And I'm going to point out, I asked you off mic if you'd ever seen Return of the Living Dead. You have not. You said? Okay. If, dear listener, you have not seen Return of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead is an R-rated movie. It came out in the the mid 80s, and it is the original film that cemented in the public imagination that zombies only eat brains. It is, in fact, where we get the trope of zombies going, brains. That is the specific movie where that comes from. So if you ever wanted to know, now you know. It is a very funny, interesting, gory horror film. So if that sounds great to you, go watch it. Highly recommended. Kiki stamp of approval. I love the film. Um, but the way the zombie apocalypse starts in Disney Channel's Zombies is a takeoff of Return of the Living Dead, where uh, some kind of medical warehouse has a explosion or something, and it releases a green gas called trioxin. So the idea of zombies coming from some kind of like green, radioactive or gas substance or toxic, fumes or whatever, that's kind of also where we get that. So a lot of this is a ripoff of that, but done for little kids. So the idea that like it vaporized a bunch of lime soda and turned people into zombies kind of made me laugh. Not much in this film did on purpose, but I think that was intended to make me laugh. um, and I did like that. The other thing I will point out is that the town this happened in, Seabrook, is specifically said to be a planned community. It's not just a suburb, which, given the Disney connection and how interested Walt himself was in planned communities, and, Epcot.
They're still making planned communities. Storytelling by Disney.
Well, I'm just saying that zombies would be better than half of the things that have happened in the Disney planned communities over the years.
Look
So,
up Celebration Florida, people. Look up Celebration Florida.
yeah. Um, so I found that kind of funny that that's how they chose to do this. But yeah, so immediately as I pointed out to you, a channel that I like watching on YouTube, Alex Myers said, wait a minute, this is just Descendants, because the whole point of this movie is we have to separate the good kids from the bad kids at the start of this movie. And now we're going to start letting the bad quote unquote kids mix with the good quote unquote kids. And we're going to learn from each other that maybe birth isn't destiny or some blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this is Descendants with zombies.
Yeah, I mean, here is this event that happened long ago that split up this community. We're finally going to reintegrate these two communities together, and everyone hates one community because they are from the wrong side of the tracks. The zombies literally say they are from the wrong side of the tracks in their song.
Yeah, they are kept in a ghetto, and it's built to look like a ghetto in the truest sense of the word.
So, I mean, let's open up that can of worms. This whole movie is an allegory for segregation and racism.
And it is not subtle.
The zombies are treated like second-class citizens. They have government standard wear that they have to wear every day. With, it's probably going into a different set of racism, but they have patches on their clothing with the letter Z to let you know that they're a zombie. Don't know if that was intentional or not.
Oh,
But
yeah. Yeah, totally not intentional. Wink, wink.
they have separate entrances into the school. Humans only and zombies only. And the zombies are regulated to the basement of the school with the school janitor as their sole teacher. I wonder if they have zombie only water fountains.
Yeah, they are definitely separate and not equal. Um, the the other thing is that I don't know how much this caught you, because you know you've you've lived in Chicago your entire life, so I don't know how much it like springs in your mind, but the zombies literally have a sundown curfew. And when I heard that, I was
Yeah.
like, they literally live in a sundown town. Like they turned this place into a literal sundown town, which, like, as a southerner, just made my skin crawl at the implication of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a whole, like, special segment of police. In fact, it's really the only type of police we see is the zombie enforcement police in this movie.
Yeah.
That go around like making sure that like zombies are staying in their own place, and that the zombies don't leave the basement of the school, and that the zombies are wearing their little bracelet things. We'll get into that in a second. And that the zombies aren't out past curfew, and that I mean, like, that is literally the only type of law enforcement we see in this entire movie, are the ones there to make sure that the zombies know their place,
Yeah.
which is super creepy.
Yeah.
But let's get to the bracelets, the Z bands.
Yeah, these really high tech Apple watches that relieve the urge for zombies to eat people. It's little electroshock that go into the zombies' bodies that they no longer crave human flesh.
And instead they eat cauliflower because it looks
Vegan
sort of
brains!
like, yeah, vegan
Vegan brain.
brains.
So it's like, yeah, and it's like, well, I get it. I get the joke in the movie in that cauliflower kind of looks like a brain, but it, it's really no substitute. Most vegan food, again, I am not a vegan, but I do know enough about vegan food in that they do their best to replicate the taste of certain foods while by using, non-meat products. I don't know what brains taste like, but I don't think they taste like cauliflower.
Like you said, Twilight had hit it big before this movie came out. And there's the joke that the vampires in Twilight call themselves vegetarian vampires because they take blood from like deer and other animals instead of humans. And everybody's like, oh, so the author doesn't know what the word vegetarian means. And I'm like, well, yeah, also the author doesn't know what the word vampire means. So, you know, like, she thinks vampires glitter. Of course she doesn't know what vegetarian means. Like,
Yeah.
she skipped the entire V section of the dictionary. Um,
Well,
but
both the Twilight and Zombies franchises uses werewolves as indigenous peoples allegories, but that's neither here nor there.
yeah, I haven't really gotten to that part yet, so I wouldn't know. But the thing is though is that this is the Z band thing, which is the thing that allows zombies to start reintegrating with humans in this world. We're gonna have to go back to one of Disney's other racism allegories, Zootopia. And dear listener, you may remember how much we loved Zootopia as a racial allegory. And
I just
this
saw the
has,
trailer for the new movie. I just saw the trailer for Zootopia 2. It looks awesome.
I haven't seen that yet, actually. So that's you're one up on me there. Um, but I'm gonna have the same problem with the Z band that I had with the original idea that they had with the Predator collar that they were gonna have in Zootopia. Because that was one of their original ideas, was that Zootopia worked because predators all wore a special collar that they got at like a bar mitzvah type ceremony when they were kids. And I was like, that would make the whole thing kind of break down because instead of it being like, okay, you're really not that different, it's like, no, there is something genetically wrong with you, and we have to force you to be quote unquote fixed by an external source. And that's what's going on here in Zombies. Like, they do show in the movie that without the Z bands, the zombies are probably a legitimate danger to humans and unable to control themselves.
If we're going to go full into the racism allegory of this movie, it's like the movie is trying to justify the racism. At least that's how I saw it as.
At the same time that they're trying to say there is no justification for racism. They're trying to come up with a reason for why the zombies are able to like hang out and be chill and not have to feed on humans. And so they came up with the idea of like, well, over the course of 50 years, technology advanced and we came up with these, you know, this technology, and it allowed the zombies to just kind of like mostly be normal humans and get their like, you know, they can reproduce normally, but their kids are also zombies, which I don't even want to think about that.
Hmm.
You know, like it is like a genetic predisposition that's passed on. So without that, but the thing is that there's other stuff in the movie that kind of discounts that they can't decide which way they want it. Because on the one hand, we see what happens when the Z bands are turned off at one point in the movie. And when they turn off the Z bands, at least two of the characters that it's turned off, they lose themselves completely. But one of the other characters is able to control themselves
Or at
and
least fight off
resist.
the urge.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it's you can actively see him fighting to the point where he's like using English instead of zombie language, and you know all that.
Yeah, I mean,
Also,
he's about to attack one kid before he grabs his own arm and says, "No, no."
yeah, he's like, I'm not a monster or something like he actually like speaks full sentences. Um, but the other thing is that there is a point in the movie where he says, the main zombie kid Zed is telling Addison, our main human girl, uh we'll get back to that, uh that you know he brings her into zombie town and shows her like zombie culture and everything, and you find
It's
out that the like,
basically like it reminds me of that one scene from Titanic where Kate Winslet goes into the bottom deck and dances
yeah,
with the poor people.
into third class, and she's like dancing with the poors. Yeah. It's kind of like that, but the but he takes her in there and she sees like a bunch of writing on the wall, and he goes like, yeah, that's written in zombie language. And we we find out over the course of the movie that that kind of like seemingly incoherent gibberish grunts that you always hear zombies give during, zombie movies is actually like a very complex language. And this was not a thing I planned to talk about during a decom movie, but they actually like get into the debunked Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, you know, crap of, like, oh, zombies have like, 24 words for brains or whatever, to kind of
Yeah.
point out like how highly evolved their languages and stuff. But here's the thing. So which way do you want it, movie? Without the bracelet, are they like a monstrous race that cannot control their own impulses? Or are they a race that has a highly evolved communication system that can work together, that can work? Because it cannot be both.
We
Like
have
it
one
just cannot.
character.
We know in nature there is no place in nature that those two things are exactly the same.
I mean, we have a character, Bonzo, who is Zed's best friend, who speaks entirely in zombie language. He does not speak a single. The only word of English he says in the entire movie is fire.
Yeah, which is more a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing than a zombie thing, but okay. You do you, movie.
But the entire movie, he is speaking nothing but zombie language. He sings in the zombie language. The opening song of the movie, his entire verse is in zombie, and they say, yeah, he is dropping it down in zombie.
But apparently it's just about how hungry he is, which if I had to eat cauliflower all the time, I would also be very hungry. Until they started getting more into how the Z bands worked and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, it's more just like it cuts down on like the craving for human flesh and stuff. So like it broadens their ability to like eat better food or something, Um, but it's like, no, you can't, like I said, in nature, you can't have it both ways. You either have creatures that act kind of completely instinctually, or you have creatures that have evolved a complex communication system and can work together. And if the zombies can only communicate after the Z bands are introduced, then there's no reason for them to create zombie language. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which means that 50 years or so of isolation was what created the zombie language. Whatever happens to their brains under that chemical, the lime soda chemical, is what caused that new form of communication. But it's too highly evolved for them to be like creatures of pure instinct, like we usually think of as Romero type zombies. So the movie can't have it both ways. And I know this is like, you're thinking too much about, like, but the movie wants us to think of this as an allegory for a very serious subject. And even if you're trying to explain that to like, not little kids, because this is like maybe like a tween age movie, but you have to think complexly about a subject and then think about how to talk about it in an age appropriate manner. It is much more difficult to explain something, when people are like, explain it to me like I'm 5. That, as an educator, is much more difficult than explain it to me like I am a fully grown adult that you can go into detail. Honestly. as someone who has had to do that professionally. Um, it is, you have to know your stuff better to explain it in simplistic terms than explain it in like really detailed technical terms.
A
And I
simplistic
know,
ex a simpli- let me phrase it. My tongue can work. A simplistic explanation for a complicated subject.
yeah, it takes more talent to do that and a much more honed knowledge to be able to do that. Um, and that I think is where films like this tend to break down, and we've seen it break down several times because we've done a lot of these movies. You know, we've done Zootopia, which kind of broke down in that way. We've done Descendants, which broke down in a similar way. And now, you know, this, and I think there's been one or two more that I'm probably forgetting that want to tackle this same kind of subject, but they don't understand it in a nuanced enough way to be able to explain it to a younger audience.
Like when the movie starts, we get everything from Zed, our main zombie's point of view. He is the first character we meet. And you think, okay, we're going to follow this world from his point of view. You know, this segregated world from one of these segregated people. But that's quickly thrown away because the real main character of this movie is the normal passing rich white girl Addison, and how the normal passing rich white girl can somehow empathize with the troubles of the marginalized zombies, which is the biggest mistake this movie makes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always a bad thing to show person with privilege learning to empathize with a marginalized community, because that can be a way into empathy for people with that same privilege. You know, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
I see myself in this main character and I see like I am learning along with them. That can be very useful.
but it really comes down to I understand your plight. I understand what it's like to be treated different for yourself because I have white hair and you are an undead zombie. You know, it is the, you know, I know the plight of your people because I'm 1/8 Cherokee or something like that.
Yeah, it's the thing is that they're trying to equate being bullied for a mild difference. That's the thing, you know, we haven't really explained about Addison, but Addison reveals in her first scene that she, you know, the Seabrook side of the town, you know, the quote unquote normal side of the town, um, is all about conformity. And anything about you that is deemed different is rejected. So you have to, you know, fit in at all times. And her parents make her wear a wig because her deep, dark secret is that she was born with completely white hair. She can't dye it. She can't do anything except wear a wig to cover it. And if anybody found out about it, that is a difference about her, and they would reject her because that is not normal in there, you know. And you see it in the school, like people will like cut their hair, style their hair, gel their hair, braid their hair, you know, but nobody has dyed hair, you know?
No
It's a,
unnatural colored hair except for
yeah,
the zombies which has green hair.
Yeah, all the zombies have green hair, bright green hair, like Joker green hair. You know,
I'm gonna say, like, all
yeah,
the way the zombies look, it looks like a really bad Joker cosplay. Green hair and like cheap
clown white.
tail,
Yeah,
the
it's
cheap
clown
white
white makeup. Yeah,
that you would get at Spirit Halloween.
yeah, it's very Spirit Halloween Joker makeup. But everybody on the Seabrook side is like natural human hair color, and like they might put like gel in it to like, make it stand up taller or something, like they'll do that, but they won't do anything as far as like dyeing their hair unnatural colors or anything like that. Um, so if she were to remove her wig, people would immediately think not that she had dyed her hair, but like, oh, you are a freak. And that is her deep, dark secret. And her mom is the mayor of the town, and her dad is the head of the like zombie police. And her big dream in life is to become a cheerleader. Because in this town, the football team sucks, but the cheerleading squad is the like state champions or whatever. And apparently, like, her mom was a former cheerleader and, whatever. And, like, everybody in this town's about the cheerleading. Which I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying I've never seen a school that had a sucky football team and a banger cheerleader, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying, like, if a school is going to throw money at a cheerleading squad, they're also going to throw money at a football team. Those two things tend to go together. As someone who lives in a town that is like 90% about football,
Yeah, and like the star athlete is the head of the cheerleading team, who also
who
happens
is
to be
Addison's
Addison's cut
cousin. Yeah.
and is like completely over the top, comically racist towards the zombies.
Addison's parents. Like, Addison's parents are like horrifically racist towards the zombies. But we get our little meet cute between our two main characters on the first day of freshman year as they're trying to integrate the humans and zombies again, sort of. Not really integrate, but separate but unequal. And
Yeah.
the
Zed wants to join the football team, but the principal's literally saying, "Yeah, zombies cannot be part of any of the extracurricular activities. You're going to be in this basement. You're going to learn all of your classes here, and no zombies outside of the basement." And he says, "Screw that! I'm trying out for the football team." He stubs his toe trying to sneak around the school, and he goes, "Oh, oh!" To which a student thinks he is going, brains, and then pulls the zombie alarm, and then the whole school freaks out. Yeah, which, good.
the best part that I like about it is that in trying to find like a place for him to hide from this like mob that has organized to find the rogue zombie, he sees a door marked zombie safe room, and having never seen anything like that before, he's like, ah, a safe room for zombies. I am a zombie. This will be a safe room for me. like the movie doesn't really spell it out, but it's very obvious that that is the thinking in his brain, which I did find kind of awesome because like it's a logical leap for him, If you've never seen anything like that before and you are a zombie who is in trouble and you see a sign that says zombie safe room, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
This is a safe room for zombies who are in trouble. I did kind of like that, and I didn't like that they like belabored that point. But so he goes in there to hide from the mob that's chasing him, but also Addison is like, oh, well, there's a zombie alarm. I will go hide in the zombie safe room until the zombie threat is over, because that is what her parents have taught her. And she's never seen a zombie before, except for when she was walking into the school that day and they were separated by a chain link fence and using separate entrances, you know? Um, and so she goes in there and it's all dark and they can't see each other, so she doesn't realize he's a zombie until the alarm stops and all the lights come back on and she sees that he's a zombie and she punches him right in the face.
The worst meet cutes, you know. Girl punching you in the face is not the worst way to meet a girl.
I mean, you know, she didn't stab him, you know, but he takes it in stride because, you know, he's a zombie and he's like, good punch, you know. Um, and then she immediately apologizes and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, my parents are really racist and they told me you were all monsters and I realize now that's not true. And, you know, forgive me. I reacted out of instinct, which is kind of good for her, you know. But when Zed gets back to the basement with the rest of his zombie friends, he tells his best friend Eliza, who is one of the best characters in the movie. Can we just point that out?
Yeah, she's
He tells his
a
best friend
zombie rights
Eliza,
activist. And
and a computer hacker, and really adorable. But and I love her sense of style. She's just like whoever, like the costume designer that styled her. Like, I love her jewelry. I love her, you know, all of the accessories she has and stuff. Like, really cool stuff. Anyway, um, but he's like, I had a girl, a human girl, and we'll probably meet again because I'm gonna be a football player and she's trying out for cheerleader. And Eliza says the most truthful thing in the movie, which is humans are bad, but cheerleaders are monsters. Which,
yeah,
honestly, if this movie had a tagline, that should be the tagline of the movie. The main villains are the cheerleaders. Like, you would think it was going to be like Addison's parents or whatever, but they're like barely in the movie. So our main villains are like the cheerleaders.
it's Bucky and his three toadies, Lacey, Tracy, and Stacy. When your subordinates have rhyming names, like they were born to be toadies.
Yeah. So, I mean, tell me how Eliza is wrong in that. I mean,
I mean, they have their dreams too. You know, Eliza wants to join the computer club, and Bonzo wants to join the music club, but again, they're forbidden from doing so because they're zombies. But like most high school things, everything revolves around sports. And originally, Zed is rejected from the football team because he's a zombie. And we, you know, even if he doesn't even get the chance to try out, it was like, hey, our football team sucks. You guys showed up. You're on the team, except for the zombie, because I'm just as racist as everyone else in this school.
yeah, the coach actually goes like, I'm not a leader, I'm a follower. And then he's like, I'm barely a follower. Like, you know, he is not out there to make waves. He wants you to shut up so he can move along and finish his job and go home and watch some TV or whatever. But yeah, that one line from Eliza, I was like, okay, this is the best line in the movie. I don't think they're gonna top this. And I was right, they didn't. That ended up being the best line in the movie, and it's like 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
But, you know, this movie kind of goes the way you figure it's gonna go. Addison gets on the cheer squad because, you know, she's the perfect looking blonde. She's the mayor's daughter. She's cousins with the cheer captain. But she also makes friends with a chick named Bree, who is kind of a thicker girl, but wants to be a cheerleader. And when I say thick, I mean like Hollywood thick. She's still pretty thin, but compared to all of the twigs that are in this movie,
She has hips. Yeah, she's the only girl in this school with hips.
yeah, she's the only girl in this movie with curves. Like every other girl in this movie is like a size 0. This girl is maybe like a size 8. Like that's what we're talking about. Uh so comparatively she is the thicker girl. But she wants to be a cheerleader. And everybody's like, nah, you can't be a cheerleader. You're the thicker girl. They don't really say it outright, but you know that's why they're turning her down. They don't really go so far as to make fat jokes about her and stuff, which is good because, like I said, she's like a size 8. But that is, you can tell by the casting that was what the movie was going for. They're trying to say that without saying it outright. But Addison, being the wonderful, open-minded gal that she is immediately like, oh, you seem to have lots of spirit, and that's all you need in cheer. Come along. Well, I'll make sure you make the team. And she kind of bullies her cousin into like making Bree part of the team
As an alternate, but she's
as
on
an
the team.
alternate. So her and Bree get on the team, and the first thing her cousin does is like, well, there's one last thing you need to do if you want to be on the team. It's kind of a tradition. And then he drives them to Zombie Town accidentally, like he legitimately does not know, but accidentally stops him in front of Zed's house, hands him a carton of eggs, and is like, yeah, egg the zombie houses, let those zombies know that we don't like them here and tell them to go back to where they came from. And then he gets spooked because there are zombies in Zombie Town, dude, and like drives off and leaves Addison and Bree there holding a carton of eggs, and they like hide when Zed's dad comes out, and Zed sees them and covers for him and is like, no, Dad, you didn't hear anything. It like, you know, there's nobody out here. And then he's like, just looks at them like, I thought you were better than that, but whatever, and like wanders off.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they have to like apologize to him the next day and be like, we didn't know we were going to end up out there, and like her cousin tried to make us do it, but we weren't going to do anything, like blah blah blah, all that kind of makeup nonsense. And then we end up having the like a pep rally where Addison gets put in danger and almost gets injured, and
Gotta
Zed
backtrack
in
on that. Yeah,
oh
gotta backtrack because Bucky intentionally puts Addison in danger because he starts putting sparklers in the cheer routine because he intentionally wants to spook the zombies because, hey, fire bad. So he wants to just show the zombies who's boss. You don't belong here. Fire, scary. And in doing so, Bonzo freaks out over the fire and he just runs out of the room, which starts a chain of events that involve the cheerleaders throwing Addison up in the air and getting knocked over, so there's no one there to catch her.
yeah. And that's when Zed rushes forward to catch her, and he ends up like just plowing through a bunch of the football players who are standing there at the pep rally, and ends up catching Addison before she hits the ground. And the coach is like, Man, you just tackled like 6 guys and caught the target you were going for. You're on the team. Like,
Zombie strength.
yeah. And it was because, like, in the kind of mad dash, Bonzo accidentally damaged Zed's Z band. And so Zed got a little bit of zombie strength, like you said. It wasn't enough to make him like crave human flesh or lose his mind, but he did get a little bit of agility boost and strength boost and whatever, and that helped him. So, yeah, that starts another upsetting chain reaction where Zed's like, the only reason I made it onto the football team was because my Z band was on the fritz. And then we find out what is, I think, one of the funniest reveals, which is that Eliza figured out how to hack her Z band and has been using it to get an edge in video games, which means that she's been playing like online games. Like she's been playing like, Overwatch and Fortnite and stuff like that.
Dead by
And,
Daylight.
yeah, like Dead by Daylight. Yeah. Uh, I hadn't thought of that one, but yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah, like she's been using it to absolutely gank like humans online who don't know that they're playing not only a girl but a zombie girl, you know,
Mhm.
by upping her agility, which I just think it's the funniest thing. I just love that you've got this like government issued thing that changes fundamental parts of you, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna hack it and make myself better at video games. Like, what a nerdy thing to do. I love this chick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Zed's like, I want you to do the same thing for me, but so I can be captain of the football team or whatever. And that starts the whole chain reaction of he gives himself a little boost on the football field, and now they've gone from having the suckiest football team to the winning football team.
Yay. And
Yay!
because high school values sports more than anything, now Zed can make demands like, "Hey, let's have the zombies eat in the cafeteria with the rest of the students. Let's have the zombies join other extracurricular activities. Let's fully integrate the zombies into the rest of the school." Because he can make those demands because he's now the star player of the football team. And he's now the big man on campus, much to Bucky's dismay because he was the big man on campus previously.
Yeah. And this takes up most of the movie, like we said earlier. This leads to Zed and Addison starting their relationship in earnest now, because now he's a football player and she's a cheerleader, so of course they have to date. During this sequence, there is what is the best song in the movie. We haven't really talked about the songs. The songs all suck. In fact, the very first song, the first thing you hear is Addison singing, and her first part is a ripoff of Party in the USA.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when I heard that song.
Yeah, and I think both of us thought we were going a little nutty because we were like, that can't be what it. But then, like, we talked off mic, and I was like, did that sound like Party in the USA to you? You were like, yes, that was the only thing I could hear. I was like, oh, thank goodness it wasn't just me. But yeah. But all the songs are really forgettable and annoying, except for the best song in there, which is still forgettable but less annoying,
The
is,
little love song, Someday.
yeah, which is kind of, they end up back in that zombie safe room where they first met, and there's a ghost light in there, which is like a theater thing, you know? It's just a light you leave in there for safety purposes, um, to make sure nobody falls off the stage and into the orchestra pit and stuff. Um, and they end up doing like a really neat dance using that light as sort of like a microphone. And it's a cute little love song about maybe someday our love won't be that unique or extraordinary. You know, maybe someday our relationship will be like a really boring, ordinary relationship, societally speaking, you know? Which I really liked that sentiment for the basis of a love song. That right then, in that moment, they were breaking ground as far as the society that they were in, but they had hopes that in the future, love like theirs would be just the everyday thing, and that there would be nothing special about it.
It's something, it's things that a lot of people in dare I say non-traditional relationships kind of go with, whether it's interracial or same gender or what have you.
Yeah, anybody that kind of breaks a boundary like that, I think that is their hope. I've just, I'm not sure I've ever really heard it expressed in song like that. And I wish the song were better and catchier
Yeah,
because I love that sentiment and I wish the song were good enough to live up to the sentiment it's expressing. Because I would love that to be like a top 40 hit,
yeah.
you know? But it's just none of the songs in this movie are good enough, in my opinion, to really do that. But I would love if anybody knows of a song that has that same kind of sentiment, but is a legitimately good and catchy song with like nice, meaningful lyrics and stuff like that, please let me know because I would love to be able to have a song like that, you know, to listen to, that is memorable. This isn't it, and it is by far like 10 times better than any other song in this movie. But, you know, most of this movie is just like, you know, oh, they're on their respective like football or cheer teams now. They're getting better. They're getting more liked. They're getting closer together. Zed takes Addison to Zombie Town for a zombie party. That's how Addison learns that zombies have more restrictions on them than she ever knew. Like, they can't own real pets. Zed's little sister has always wanted a puppy, but they are legally forbidden from owning animals. And so she has like a stuffed dog.
Also, the little sister wants to be a cheerleader herself.
Yeah, and her and Addison hit it off uh, really well when they meet, and Zed takes that as a good sign. Um, and Eliza sees how Addison is with the little girl, and she's like, all right, you know, she's pretty cool. Um, and then like their party gets raided by, you know, cops, and they're like, you know, it's after dark, it's past curfew, what are you doing out? And Addison's like, what do you mean curfew? And he's like, yeah, zombies have a curfew, we're not supposed to be out after dark and whatever, you know. Um, And that's the first time she's ever heard of that, you know. And so you discover like she's really ignorant about the way that zombies are treated. So it continues in that same kind of vein. She finds out that Zed has been hacking his Z band, and she's like, please don't do that, you know. Uh,
And in him discussing this with Eliza, hey, I need you to hack my band one more time because the homecoming game is coming up, and just this one last time, and I'll never ask again, because if we can win the homecoming game, I won't need to do this anymore. The toadies overhear it and then get back to Buckley, who is praying to the cheerleader gods.
I did find that hilarious because he's like doing a cheer prayer and he's like, to the ra, to the ba, to the sis boom ba. Which I just thought that was so funny. And I was like, okay, there were 2 or 3 times in this movie where I legitimately laughed. It was few and far between, but when it got me, it did get me.
So he's praying to the cheerleader gods for a sign to finally get rid of the zombies so he can be the number one guy on campus again. And they said, hey, turns out Zed's been hacking his Z band to give himself zombie strength. So we need to get his best. We need to get to his best friend so we can really show what these zombies are really about. So they pretend to be Eliza's friend. Hey, we've changed our mind on zombies. You could be one of us. Little makeup, a little hair dye to make your hair look normal, and you could be one of us. All a distraction so they can steal her laptop, so they can deactivate the Z bands, or at least prevent. Originally, they wanted to prevent him from obtaining the zombie strength by the Z band. And we get to the game, and Zed tries to activate his zombie powers, and it's not working. I get that it's supposed to be a troll, that they're trolling him, but I wonder if Universal or DreamWorks got some payback, because that's Shrek.
Yeah, I was like, why is his band like showing him Shrek? And then I was like, oh, is that supposed to be a troll? Because that's Shrek.
I got it, because, they were trolling him by him trying to activate it, but it just looked like Shrek.
I wonder if that was like their version of making fun of it because, you know, parts of Shrek were a troll on Disney, like maybe that was
Maybe.
one of their mild little paybacks. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, so he, even without the zombie strength, he's still able to get the game-winning touchdown. The Shrimps win the game! Yay! What a team!
Yeah,
The
we
Shrimps.
haven't even discussed the fact that their team name is the Shrimps, which is so ridiculous that I kind of like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So not only do they screw around with Zed's Z-Band, they screw around with the Z-Bands of all of the zombie students. And then after the game, they say, okay, we're going to show these people they want to love these zombies. No, we're going to show these people exactly what these zombies are about. And Bucky shuts down every Z-Band of every zombie in the school to show them that they are truly nothing more than primal monsters. Unfortunately, he didn't plan ahead that now the school is being overrun by mindless zombies.
I know who planned ahead and brought the anti-zombie poster to the game.
I mean, they've been having it. Those zombie posters have been around since Zed's first play. That they were saying no zombies, no zombies, because even his teammates didn't want to play with him before he actually showed that he could win.
This is like the last game of the season, and everybody is kind of on his side now, except for like a couple of leftover bigots they're showing. because
Maybe they're
like
the leftover bigots.
because like Addison is out there like, give me a give me a B, what does that spell? Zombie, zombie, Um, and like the crowd is going with it. They're like, we love you, Zed. Go, Zed. We love zombies. Yay. And then all of a sudden, like, and they're not, they don't end up turning like everybody into zombies, it seems, or full zombies. The only ones we really see get hit with it are Zed, Eliza, and Bonzo, because they're the only ones that get taken away. And as they're being taken away, like Zed's dad like comes to the defense of his son and everything, and he's like still in full control of himself.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I think they only hit those three just to kind of like teach them a lesson because they're the only
fair
three
enough.
that get arrested.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, but as it's going on, there's like a dude in the bleachers, and it's just like one dude that's got like a "We hate zombies" poster.
There's
That's
always
like,
one.
yeah, there's always one, but I don't know. It was just so weird. I was like, did you come here with that? And did nobody be like, dude, get out? Like, I don't know. It
I
was it
mean,
was just really
I
weird.
mean that was kind of thing with Pope Buckley too. He's still very much racist towards zombies. It isn't until Zed is able to compose himself long enough to stop himself from chewing down on Buckley that Buckley starts to get his change of heart.
Yeah, but the three of them get taken away in the zombie paddy wagon and put in zombie lockup and all. But while that's happening, Addison is trying to figure out. She has this whole like song about like, where do I stand and what am I going to do about this? And it's like, it's just it. This may be the worst song in the movie because it's really just like,
Here's my thing about the song. The whole song is about that she wants to stand up for what's right. She's yelling at the anti-zombie fans in the crowd. You did this. You caused them to turn around. All they wanted was your acceptance and you treated them like garbage. She goes into this song about how she wants to stand up for what's right and she wants to the whole song is I'm going to stand up for the zombies so because no one else will. Unfortunately, by the end of this song, it's, oh, that's right. The main character of this movie is me. The whole point of this movie isn't for me to understand the zombies' plight. It's to accept my own differences and to live my truth. Thank you, zombies, for teaching me not to hide behind this weird wig. And then she throws the wig off and shows her platinum white hair and says, I'm proud of who I am. And then the entire crowd boos her off the stage because rightfully that song sucked.
yeah, I want to think that they're booing her song rather than her like ugly looking hair. Because here's the
Why does
thing is for
why
most of
why
the
does
movie,
why does the fake hair look more natural than the quote natural white hair? The natural white hair looks like, again, this looks like a wig you get on the 50% rack the day after Halloween at Spirit Halloween.
yeah, and it's because like I think the actress is a natural blonde, so I don't I don't know if it's but I think uh either it was a really good wig for most of the movie, but I think they just used her natural hair for like all of the movie except for the part where she had to be like, look, I'm wearing a blonde wig, and it's supposed to look like her blonde hair is a wig, you know? Like at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the movie where she's like moving it around and showing that there's white hair underneath. And then at the end of the movie where she takes it off and like has the white hair underneath. But then the white hair is so very obviously a wig that it looks so hideous.
Like, it's not even a natural hair made wig. It is like a cheap nylon wig from R.I.P. Party City.
Yeah, I think they spent so much of the budget on green hairspray for the zombies that when it came time for like they're like, oh yeah, we only need this white wig for like 3 scenes. Just here's $25. Go buy, go buy whatever's on sale. Like, because I swear I have costume wigs in my collection that look way better than that and are synthetic. Like, I'm not even talking about like the human hair wigs I have in my collection. Like that. That's actually like I have synthetic wigs that look better than that. Um, but yeah. Um, let's digress for just a moment to talk about because they don't talk about it in this movie, and in fact, they don't talk about it until movie 3. But why does this chick have bright white hair that cannot be dyed and she has to wear a wig over? Turns out she's an alien.
There's a whole arc between. I was gonna get there. I had a whole thing.
No,
I'm gonna do it
no, I'm
anyway.
sorry. I gotta rip that band-aid off because it's stupid as hell. I'm sorry. Movie, you're bad and you should feel bad.
Like, they set this up in the movie 1, right? Okay, so you're going to think, oh, they're going to give the reveal of why she has the white hair. If you didn't know anything about the other movies, oh, maybe she's part zombie. Maybe she's have this, that, and the other. We don't know in movie 1. In movie 2, she has the white hair, and apparently there's, with the werewolves, they have this uh, 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 prophecy that a white-haired werewolf will come and save them, and she believes herself to be the white-haired werewolf, which she's not. And then by movie 3, she's an alien. She has white hair because she's an alien. Her family came from space long ago, settled in the town, integrated into society, and she's a freaking alien.
And it turns out that her mom is also an alien and also wears a wig. Oh,
And
and
her
her
grandma's
hair is
also an alien.
yeah, and her hair is really supposed to be blue, but she's been cut off from her alien powers, so she has to like get in touch with her alien powers, and once she does, her hair turns its natural blue color. So eventually she has blue hair, which hopefully they got her a better wig. I don't know, I haven't seen the blue hair. I just read that it was eventually blue. Yeah, there you go. We saved you the like, 6 hours of nonsense. There you go.
So,
Um,
so we're not doing Zombies 2 and 3 for the podcast.
I mean, I don't know, maybe eventually, we'll set up a Patreon, and if you really want to put us through that, we'll pay us. I don't know. But anyway, the yeah, she takes off her wig and she's like, "Look, I have white hair," and everybody's like, "Boo, boo the chick with different colored hair, boo her." And everybody's like, did we forget about the zombies that almost just ate our brain? No, no, we have bigger issues to deal with. That cheerleader has unnatural hair.
Like I said, this movie is not about zombies integrating into society. This movie is not about an allegory for racism, despite all of the evidence to the contrary. This movie is about a girl with a visual difference trying to accept the visual difference that she can easily hide.
Yeah.
That, again, we've talked about this on the pod. Despite what my voice sounds like, I am in fact a person of color. I am Latino. So to have a movie that has an allegory for racism and the main plot of the story being this rich white girl accepting herself, bullcrap. I call bullcrap. And I'm not done calling bullcrap on this movie because we haven't even gotten to Act 3 yet.
I did want to agree with you though that like how annoying it is that this entire movie you think it's going to start out with like here is the perspective of racism from a marginalized group, and then immediately it becomes about here is the perspective of how racism hurts this poor little privileged girl who has a minor difference that causes her some mild bullying, but she can mostly pass for quote unquote normal.
It's like, okay, I am going to upfront this with an apology. I want to apologize up front to any neurodivergent people listening, including my co-hosts. Masking. You can mask your neurodivergency and act, quote, normal. So you can hide your difference. But me, a person of color, I can't hide my pigmentation. That is what this movie is saying. That she can mask her difference easily and it doesn't affect her life at all. But now she wants to express her divergency to the world because she now understands it because of the persecution of her new friends for being different because they cannot hide their difference. That's what it feels like.
I mean, not a perfect analogy, but I will grant you that there is some similarity. You know? When I was watching it, I was thinking more of like the discussions in like the queer community of like how bisexual people in straight seeming relationships are accused of like, well, you don't have to deal with, homophobia or whatever because you can just pass as straight, you know? And it's not true entirely, but there is some truth to that. I mean, bi erasure is its own problem, speaking as a bisexual person who has been in straight seeming relationships before, you know, there is something to be said about like you don't necessarily get overt homophobia directed at you because like if I am a woman and I am dating somebody who presents as a man, you know, people just look at that relationship and they go like straight couple, normal, move along, and nobody ever thinks to question the sexuality or gender identity of either party, but there are other things that come along with that, like, bi erasure, biphobia, whatever. And so like it's a different thing, you know, and with neurodivergency, like, yeah, I can mask pretty well for a certain period of time. There's effort put to it, you know. It doesn't always work, but there is a privilege sometimes that goes along with that. And all there are downsides that go along with that, you know? It is not at all the same as a person of color who cannot hide melanin content, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very different. And I would never equate those two things. This movie did not stop to think, hey, those are two very different things, and maybe we should not frickin' equate those two things. Which is a thing maybe somebody should have stopped and thought about.
The fact that that's quoted in the movie is that she's looking at Zed being treated differently because he's a zombie, and she's teasing her hair. It's like, yeah, I know what it's like to be teased for being different. No, you don't, you little.
Yeah, that's when you want somebody to smack her. Like, even metaphorically speaking, you want somebody to, like, just walk up and be like, no, you do not understand. It's the,
That's her character for the first 3 movies of this saga. I have not seen the 4th, but I have seen enough of the 3 movies that is her whole character, whether it is with the zombies or the werewolves or the aliens. It is, how does this come back to make me feel special?
that is so disappointing. I was hoping she would grow after this film. Ugh.
like I said, in the second movie, they're looking for a white haired werewolf to be their savior. And she believes that she is the white haired werewolf that will be their savior. And when it's not, she'll move on. And then she becomes, oh, I am the key to help these aliens find a new home world. That is her whole thing for the third movie. So again, the first three movies of the zombie saga is literally Addison being the special one that needs to help the marginalized group.
You know what I kind of wish more things targeted at a younger audience would do? And I'm gonna bring up something that kind of maybe seems out of left field, but one of the best things I've ever seen along this topic is the South Park episode with apologies to Jesse Jackson, which, if you don't recognize the title, is known as the South Park episode where Randy says a racial slur on Wheel of Fortune.
I get it, Token. I don't get it. Now you
Yes,
get it.
that is the entire point of the episode, is that Stan, in trying to apologize for his dad, he keeps going up to Token and saying, like, okay, I've done my research. I get it now. I understand the plight of Black people in America. I understand how you feel when people say that word. And Token keeps going, no, you don't get it. That's no. Mm-mm. And just keeps walking away. He doesn't try to educate Stan. He doesn't try to explain to Stan. He just goes like, nah, that ain't it. And then just like turns and walks away. And at the end of the episode, the resolution is Stan walks up and he goes, I get it now. I don't get it. I will never get it. There is nothing in my life that can equate as a white person to the experience of a Black person being called that particular racial slur, because I have never experienced the cultural and historical and all of that that comes along with that particular experience. There is nothing in our society that compares that I have experienced. I will never get it. I can try my best to sympathize. I can try my best to learn to remove it from my vocabulary, to teach others to do that, to, you know, to make things right, to listen, to, there's all kinds of things I, as a white person, can do. But the one thing I can never do is truly understand that visceral feeling, because it will never happen to me. And Token's like, yeah, now you get it. And I want a kids movie that goes like, there are some things in life, children, that you will never understand because you're never going to go through them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I am a cisgender person. I will never know what it's like for my trans friends. I can do my best to be there for them. I can do my best to be supportive of them. But I am never going to know what it feels like to transition my body in that way or my life in that way. I'm just not. So I know that I will never have some experiences that they have. I can listen. I can try to be as understanding and helpful and sympathetic as I can, but I will never get it. And that's okay. I don't have to understand, I just have to accept.
And that is completely thrown out the window in this movie.
Yeah, and that's what I hate about movies like this that are geared toward children, is like it tries to get to be like, do you understand, children? Instead of going like, it's okay to be confused about some things. You don't have to understand it. You just have to accept it and be kind to people.
Can we wrap this movie up?
I'd
We've
love
been
to
talking
wrap
about,
this series up. We talked before about um how like I mean I hate to compare these two movies, but like, you know, there ain't no rule that says a dog can't play basketball. You know, it's like, why did Air Bud get 18 sequels? It's like, why did this movie get 4 sequels and counting? You know, or whatever.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, because of the situation at the football game, all of the zombie kids have been kicked out of the school and the towns have been resegregated. And Eliza doesn't like this. He says, screw this. We tried playing it their way. We tried doing it by the book. They never accepted us. They never will accept us. Now it's time to do it our way. It's time for our revolution. So she decides that she's going to sabotage the cheer championship because cheerleading is so important to this town. She's going to take that away from them. We don't know how she's going to do it,
Yeah, we never
but
find out, but it has something to do with electronics.
probably shutting off like the lights and the music during their routine.
We hope so, because she's under the bleachers with a whole bunch of electronic equipment, and that looks really, really sus. Let's just say that. Let's hope that she was just going to shut off the uh, lights and sound and stuff.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah. Addison is like, yeah, do it. You should do it. You should sabotage them after what they did to you. They deserve it. And Zed says, no, 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 this isn't the way. Your way isn't revenge. Your way is cheer. We need to be better people and not stoop to their level because it makes us no better than they are. Then this is again the second time in this movie I'm going to call bullcrap, because it's what this movie is saying now is, no matter how persecuted you may feel, don't do your protesting in a way that will be disruptive of others. Just play by the rules, be a good little minority, and maybe by pure happenstance, everything will go your way. Don't rock the boat in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and can I just say that if you want to see somebody give a really good rant about this, shout out to Musical Hell on YouTube, who has a really, really excellent rant about this. Go look them up. Really good video, breaking down this movie as well. And they go into this in a little more detail.
That's how I know of the first three films, is through the reviews of Musical Hell.
Yeah, shout out to them. Go look them up on YouTube. Give them a follow. But the yeah, that's the thing, is that also did annoy me, because I really hate when people tell marginalized groups how they should respond to their own like degradation and, oppression. It's like, you do not have the right to tell people how they should respond to their own dehumanization.
I mean, just look at the last 9 or 10 months in the United States.
Yeah,
You know, that's all I'm going to say on that one.
yeah. So yeah, Ed gives his whole little, we're not, if you do this, you're not any better than they are, which, screw you, Zed. You're super wrong. For once I'm with Addison, and mostly I'm with Eliza. But then, we have the little girl, zombie, uh, Zoe, the little sister, comes in and she's like, why don't we solve everything with cheerleading? That's how this town always solves its problems. You should listen to
So
me, because
yeah,
I'm a cute little girl.
by this point, Buckley has kicked out all of these zombie sympathizers from the cheerleading team, which leaves them at a fraction of their strength, and all of their routines fail because the routines are for a larger group of people. So people are falling on their faces. So yes, by pure happenstance, the sabotage happened.
Which
As
gives Eliza one of the other good lines in the movie, which is, self-sabotage, my favorite type of sabotage. Which she's not wrong. I mean, it really is nice to watch your enemies just like do it to themselves and you don't have to lift a finger, you know?
Plan, plan, let them just talk is working effectively.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the little girl's like, you know what? We're gonna solve this through cheer. So she's obsessed with cheer in this movie. She starts doing her own little cheer, which everyone's booing her because get off the stage, zombie. Which is
And
like, okay, you're racist, but that's just a kid. Jesus.
yeah, she's like 8. Come on. And then, Addison's like, how dare they, we should all embrace our differences, because that's what zombies do. Which, is it? Is that the point of this movie? Because I do not remember that being the point of this movie up until now.
We're gonna let our freak flag fly and do the cheer our way. And like, Buckley's out because there's no way he's going to be part of a biracial cheerleading team, which I wish this movie had the guts to have Buckley be racist up until the end of the movie. Like, no way, I'm done. You want zombies part of my cheer team? I'm out.
Yeah,
And he had
but
stayed out, and
it's that Disney, thing where you have to like, no, everyone needs a redemption arc. We're all in this together.
so yes, all of the main characters do a cheer and a big song. Even Eliza, which she even says, "Does it have to be cheer?" And I'm kind of with her, like, really. She's kind of has a point. Does it have to be cheer? That is the thing that unites the humans and the zombies in this town. But like you said, everything in this town revolves around cheerleading. So of course, cheerleading has to be the thing that brings the entire town together. And even Buckley says, you know what? Yeah, they're good. And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I really should stand by these zombies and learn not to be racist anymore. Everyone is cheering, everyone is dancing, everyone is singing happy day. And they lose.
Which, good. I'm
Because
glad they
because
lost.
because the kids may no longer be racist, but the judges aren't.
Yeah.
We may not have we lost the championship, but you know what? The town is now integrated. The zombies and the humans are now one town, and little Zoe finally gets her puppy, and everybody happy, everyone singing, one big happy family. Yay! This movie
So,
sucks.
yeah, I mean, we're not
No
even gonna bother.
magic. No magic.
Yeah, not even asking the question. This movie has no magic. This movie shouldn't exist. I mean, I'm fine with trying to explain, why you should not be racist to kids, but if you do it, maybe like talk to some educators on anti-racism on how to explain this to kids or preteens or whatever your age group is. Like, actually do your research and, maybe don't have your main character be like the whitest, uh, blondest chick in the movie trying to figure out how it all revolves around her. I
The
don't know.
white chick with the white chick with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Whose problem is that without a wig, her hair is even blonder. I mean, you did
Yeah,
realize that's her problem, right? Like she has to wear a wig to make her hair less blonde. Come on,
yeah,
this movie cheesed me off, and not in the good way of cheese, the bad way of cheese, the really stinky cheese that has maggots that jump out at you.
yeah, yeah. Just no. I'm kind of with you, listener. If you want us to talk about the other three movies, you're gonna have to pay us for it.
And like a lot of money too.
I mean, considering Disney Plus is upping their subscriptions again, about 6 months worth of Disney Plus.
Yeah, yeah, like, ugh. This movie made my head hurt.
Each, each.
Yeah,
That's twice.
yeah, yeah. Ugh.
Oh, we've talked about this movie way longer than we should have, but the racism allegory breaks down so hard in this movie. It just made me so angry. But Let's move on because I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. Next week, we are going to be talking about a subject we have talked about in the past. The final season of Hulu's Solar Opposites is set to start. And in honor of that, we are going to be looking at the Halloween episodes of Solar Opposites, and we might have a special guest along for the ride next week.
Yeah, cannot wait. And hold on. Just fair warning, while this episode was kid friendly, please remember that Solar Opposites is a MA rated TV show, so next week's episodes will not be for the littles, but the week after that we will be back with a kid friendly episode.
So, yes, next week, Solar Opposites, the Halloween episode celebrating the beginning of the final season of the show. And so come back for that, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye. Don't let the magic stop here.
Keep the conversation going. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Rewatching the Magic.
We are also on Blue Sky, rewatchingthemagic.bsky.social. And new episodes are available at rewatchingthemagic.podbean.com and youtube.com/@rewatchingthemagic. Remember, the magic is for everyone.
It only stops if you let it.
We know that right now, things are tough.
But in the words of Jim Henson, the only way the magic works is by hard work. But hard work can be fun.
Check out our show notes for ways that you can help.